Welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Known Classics. This is number 2216 and double number 2110. I got two Marvel trades. The first is by Jason Aaron, and the other one is from Mark Millar. Both guys were Wolverine at one point. But this is from Jason Aaron's work. This is Weapon X, Volume 1, The Admantium Man. Yep. This actually was now this particular book in particular was a book that Wolverine's girlfriend at the time, Melinda Gardner, appeared in a lot. She wrote almost this entire series. Yep. This book contains the first 5 issues of the series, along with stories from Wolverine 374. This is from Volume 3. Now, Jason Aaron does the writing here with Ron Garney on the artwork. Yep. Oh, the artwork for issue 74 and 73. It's mostly done by Adam Kubert. The cover art for 73 is by Adam Kubert and Justin Pusser. Tommy Lee Edwards at 74. The cover here is now in this book. Wolverine is wearing his X-Force costume. Yes. Now, aside from Wolverine, it's basically just Wolverine just doing his own thing. Now, it does meet Melinda in the course of this book. He kind of does. Yes, I believe this book is her first appearance. Let me take a look about here about that. I just want to be sure about that. Because I think this book here, I think this was her debut. Yep, I was correct. It's her debut. Yeah, this is quite interesting about the character. The fact that this first issue here was her debut. And she appeared for a good chunk of this book, around the first 10 issues. She skipped only 2 issues. Yeah, out of the 15, this run the series lasted for, I think it was 15 issues, not mistaken. Yeah, 16 issues. She's in pretty much like almost the first 10. It's like the only issues she misses are basically issues 6 and 7. But she's here to issue 10, and then basically that we have their stuff here. And it's kind of interesting that this is the brief replacement of Wolverine while we had Dark Wolverine. And yet here's the strange thing though. Dark Wolverine is kind of part of numbering, not this book for some reason. Don't know why, but it is. Oh yeah, and basically Wolverine got Volume 4. She was in there for the first 8 issues, and then basically appeared regular 15 to 20, and then from 303 to mostly the final issue, and her last appearance was in Wolverine 211. So here's the thing, I've covered most of her appearances with this book in particular. There's like one book left to go for her appearances. Actually, she's missing she missed issue 4, but we have the appearance of Strike Force X. Yeah, Strike Force X. It just exists just in this book here. It's mostly put basically the main bad guys in this book. Yes, that's what Wolverine's fighting here. And aside from having Wolverine appear in these issues in particular, there is, however, one other person who does. And that is Maverick. Yeah, Maverick appears here too. Yeah, so the thing of Melinda is actually really a girlfriend. But here's something surprising though. Ever since Wolverine's resurrected, she's not reunited with him, which is strange. Though she did pick up a mercenary group made of Wolverine's ex-girlfriends. Yep. So you also in these books basically have this Task Force X group, Strike Force X, where they all got claws and they're all glowing. So it's mostly just Wolverine fighting them on some island. Okay, best million bucks spent. Yep. So after fighting these guys, and of course, Malin meeting, of course, Maverick. Yeah, this is also a period of time where we have, well, Hammer being around. Yes, because we have some Hammer agents appearing here. Yes, we have Agents of Hammer. In case some of you don't know what the heck Hammer is, Hammer was an agency that replaced S.H.I.E.L.D. for a very brief period of time. It started right after the Avengers invasion. That's when they first sprung up. They were basically discontinued as Adventures of Siege. They were only around for about a year and a half in comics. And nothing was done with, there was nothing major in place until S.H.I.E.L.D. was brought back in 2011. So S.H.I.E.L.D. was only gone for about 3 years. Part of that time was taken by Hammer, which, here's the thing. Hammer is an acronym which Marvel never gave a definition of what the heck this thing stood for. And for some reason, the agency symbol is Thor's hammer. Yeah, that was never explained. It's almost like... Now, here's the thing. Bendis created this organization. I believe it first showed up in issue number... I'm trying to think. I think it was issue number... I think it was like Dark Avengers issue 1, I think it was. Now, as for why in the world they had Hammer here, I don't know. They had first discovered Agent Jax. And she is here for this issue and the following issue, and that's it for her. Yeah, and she's the Hammer. First appeared in Secret Invasion, right? That's when it first showed up. Oh yeah, and the joke is basically like, when I think it was Madame Mask asked what the name stood for. She was told by an agent it's classified. Yeah, something Marvel never did anything with. So you can blame Bendis for his organization. But I thought it was a really cool idea, even a bad organization. Now here's the thing about the organization itself. It's mostly made of agents who didn't agree working with Nick Fury. And anybody who didn't. Here's the thing about what happened to agents who refused to work with Norman Osborn. Some of them formed an agency with Mockingbird called the, I think it was like World Counterterrorism or War Counterterrorism Alliance, which the issues themselves were based upon the West Coast Avengers, and a lot of the rest of them basically just form a private military company known as Howling Commandos. Yep. So they delete all things related to this group. And by the way, Agent Jax herself, after this issue, she's never seen again. Is she killed? No, not necessarily. She just basically taken back to Hammer, and she's never seen again. Yep, and that completes. And we have this, suppose, like next villain here for this series. Now, in the case of, like, well, they have sort of this thing of like, oh, various weekdays, Wolverine is buying bad guys. It's interesting the fact they threw these couple issues in here. Well, the stories and issues because, well, Jason wrote them, so why not? This book is actually pretty fun. I'll give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. I should point out the book is a bit violent per se. Now, like I mentioned, the only reason why I think Marvel launched this book is they needed to have Wolverine have a main solo book. Because, excuse me, especially if he had Wolverine Origins, he couldn't have his main book because that was taken up by his son. So they gave him this book briefly. And I think this was not exactly the first time Jason wrote. He had been writing some arcs for Volume 3, and this was the first for Wolverine run he wrote before he did Wolverine Volume 4. Alright, next up we have is Ultimate Avengers 2. Known as Ultimate Comic Avengers Crime and Punishment. This contains the entirety of Avengers 2 of Ultimate Comic Avengers 2, which was 6 issues. Now, in this book, what's the big plot of this book? There are two major things. Punisher joins the Avengers. Let me explain about this version of the Avengers. Okay, this version of Avengers is not the premier superhero team like it is in the regular Marvel Universe. Oh, no. In the Ultimateverse, it's the Ultimates. The Ultimate Comics, the Avengers, The old Avengers are simply put the Black Ops team for the Avengers, for the Ultimates. And this book's lineup is comprised of, it's led by Nick Fury. There's also Monica Chang. There's another joke here about the fact that he was, well, once married to Monica Chang. Yeah, that's actually his ex-wife. They also have a guy by the name Tyrone Cash, part of this group. He's also referred to as Nerd Hulk, kind of. Yeah, and they also have the Punisher join this roster. Yeah, and here's also another member of this group. War Machine is part of this group too. Now, Tyrone Cash is nicknamed Nerd Hulk, or the first Hulk, mind you. His real name is Leonard Williams. I'm sure he's probably a take on Doc Samson. Kind of. Yeah, they say he was the original Hulk, which, here's the strange thing about this guy. He would pretty much basically, like, after this run wrapped up, he would pop up a few more times after this book wrapped up, which is strange. Like, he appears in this book, then he appears 3 more times, 2 issues of Ultimate Avengers vs. New Ultimates, and 1 issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, and his last appearance, Ultimate Avengers vs. New Ultimates, he dies. Yeah, they kill him off. For some reason. I'm not really sure why. Now, Hawkeye is part of this group too. Despite the fact he's also on the, I think he was supposed to be in the Ultimates, but I think they moved over here because he has some big names. And they also have it where he's religious for some reason. I have no idea why the heck they mean religious for, but they did. Yep. So the book actually started out with the recruitment of, let's say, Tyrone Cash. We started with basically the Punisher. Yes, the Ultiverse Punisher, which, if you're curious, a part of this book, what was the last book he appeared in? The second annual of Amazing Spider-Man released in 2006. Yeah, here he is, 4 years later appearing in this book. Yeah, and here's the thing. In the annual, the last time he appeared, he killed the old version of Jean DeWolf, who was crooked. Yeah, and here's something interesting about the ultimate version of Jean DeWolf. Aside from the fact she was crooked, this you might find interesting about her. Apparently, she was one of those women who slept with the kingpin of crime. No, seriously, she did. The annual also the first appearance of the old version of the Kangaroo, who appeared just for a handful of times. A guy called Jake Polino. Plus, of course, the first appearance of the old version of Speedball. Yeah, but he's like a one-off and some minor character. But yeah, it's interesting on the fact that, okay, we had the old version. Now, the thing with the old version Punisher is he really hasn't appeared all that much. Not really. That's the thing about this guy. He first appeared back in Ultimate Marvel Team number 6. Now, unlike the 606 version, you just a Marine, here he was previously a police officer before he was basically joined up with, of course, people became Punisher. Yeah, part of this book he made a few appearances, like he appeared for Future Ultimate Marvel Team Up, Ultimate Spider-Man Special, 1 issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, the annual, and after this book, he, well, just appeared for Ultimate Avengers vs. New Ultimates. He rejoined the group after this book wrapped up, and they was part of it for the last few issues, and of course he got killed off in Cataclysm. Yes. So, the main thread, like, he's brought in to get this, along with other people, to take on the Ghost Rider. Yes, seriously. Punisher versus the Ghost Rider. And from what I've read, apparently he was alleged to be 7 feet tall, and that was a lie. Yes, that was the alleged thing about the Ghost Rider for this book, is that he was alleged to be 7 feet tall, despite the fact he's just not even barely over 6 feet. So, by the way, the Ghost Rider was up in issue 8. And here's the thing. The ultimate version of the Ghost Rider only exists in this one book. Isn't that strange? It is. Yeah. Now, as for why he never appeared after this one, it is strange. I don't know the reason for that. Now, they do explain that he did have a girlfriend at one point, where he dated Roxanne Sampson, who, by the way, was his girlfriend. Except that, here's the thing. She died, and then and basically, Johnny Blaze made a deal with Satan. I think that's supposed to be Mephisto. They don't say it's Mephisto, but it kind of is. Where in exchange becoming his ghostwriter and giving him some evil souls, Roxanne gets to live a new life, has sex twice, basically have a happy life, so he basically leaves her alone. Johnny, now the reason why the old Avengers are going after Ghostwriter, because he's got a bunch of rich dudes. Yeah. Why is he? And then they revealed the final target, who actually issued the order. They said it was the executive order to take him down. Apparently, it was issued by the Vice President of the United States. And it turns this guy's name is Roxanne. I think it's Blackthorn. I think his name is, and he makes deal with Mephisto for to take on the Ghostwriter, and he becomes the ultimate version of Vengeance. And you're thinking, Vengeance, who's that? Vengeance was a character from the 90s who, this is something quite strange about him. Like, okay, his name is Robert Blackthorn. That's his name. Yeah. And the thing is, he was the leader of these bikers. So the original one is Kowalski. He is the original. No, it's not that. He's not the original one. It was, let's see. Here he is. Michael Bellino. Yeah, he was the original one. Yeah, he's a Howard Mankin character, but he technically was the original version of this character. Mm-hmm. Who first appeared back in 1992. Yep. And if you're curious, though, like, has it returned since then? Well, his most recent appearance was actually in Ghost Rider Adventures Forever. That was his most recent appearance today. That was just last year. Though it was a flashback. Let's see. So actually it was in the book Return of Vengeance. That's my guy's current look here. Mm-hmm. So then of course that, well, Ghost Rider and him fight. And then he gets cut off and he gets killed by the Punisher. And Punisher, oh by the way, Punisher has to wear this silly outfit in the book. Yeah, where the reason why he wears is because they want the public to know the fact that the Punisher is working with the U.S. government to take down the Ghost Rider. Of course, Vengeance gets killed by, of course, the Punisher. Ghost Rider gets away, and Punisher escapes. Not seeing him for years. He's not seeing him for quite a while, for at least about 2 years until lead up the Spider-Man storyline. But in the case of this second story arc for Ultimate Avengers, it's actually pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Here's the strange thing, though. Mark Millar had this reputation for the longest time of can't put a book on time. But yet this book, here's the thing, though. All the issues came out on time. You think it really? Yeah, it did. Remember, the arc here is by Leon Francis Yu. That says the artwork for this book. This book's pretty good. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. But it just seems strange, though. Nick Fury brings Punisher to fight the Ghost Rider. And you might be curious, though. Has Punisher met Ghost Rider before? From what I remember reading some regular mainstream stuff, I think he may have encountered him once. Probably Dan Ketch. That's probably... I don't think he's ever met Johnny Blaze. Not really. It's like... It's strange, though. You would think that he would have encountered him at some point, but he hasn't. Yeah, I thought it was quite weird. Maybe in person might have something to do with it. Who knows? Yep. But yeah, that's particularly it. Particular view. Stay tuned for Eden Zero, which is next. Okay? Next video. Bye.